Ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Vice Rector of the University of Turin, respected colleagues in our YSBC family, a very warm welcome to you to the Social Business Academia Forum 2022. It's great to have all of you gather here. My name is Zinat Islam, and I'm the Relations Manager, Academia Network. And my co-MC is Mr. Shihab Kader, the Head of International Projects at Yunus Center. Today's event is organized by Yunus Center and supported by the University of Turin, Grameen Creative Lab, and the YY Foundation. It gives me immense pleasure to be here in beautiful Turin and bring forth to you the work of Yunus Center and its collaborative partners in Yunus Social Business Centers and other universities throughout the year. We have 100 such institutions in 37 countries globally where young talents and brilliant academics are working towards solving social problems with the vision of building a world of 3 zeros through social business. There's a lot to share today, but we have time constraints, so we are able to accommodate a few sessions. So let us get into it right away, and I welcome my co-MC, Mr. Shihab Kader, to take the floor and start the opening session.
Thank you, Zinat. Greetings from Bangladesh, and good luck to Italy for the upcoming World Cup. We hope you win. So we'll be brief, short. First of all, to kickstart the opening session, might we welcome Ms. Lamia Morshed, the Executive Director of Yunus Center. Lamia, Ms., if you could come in.
Thank you, everyone. Sorry for the delay. So this is a welcome to everyone to the Social Business Academic Forum. Every year on the sideline of the Social Business Summit, Hans enables us to have a space to organize the Social Business Academia Conference. Since 2009, it's been in some form or other a meeting of the academics in the network to get together. So this year we don't have a full conference with paper presentations, but we have so many of the academia partners here. So we thought we would have this forum and update on the work that's happening within the university network in the social business world. So thank you to University of Turin to give us this beautiful space, the Aula Magna. Thank you to the rector, Stefano Gione, and the vice rector, Edigio Dancero, for welcoming us today. Thank you very much. So this whole academic work started with universities, faculties, and students approaching us over the years to start something based on the work of Professor Yunus within universities. In 2010, several universities established YSBCs. This includes Glasgow Caledonian University, represented here by Professor Cam Donaldson. It includes Asian Institute of Technology in Thailand. It includes the University of Florence here in Italy. It includes the HEC Paris, which is a famous business school in France. And each of these universities wanted to bring this into their universities, either to make something in their curriculum about social business or to create courses, short courses, long courses, master's degrees. Some decided to do competitions and events around social business. Some were doing research, action research, and projects. So when we saw this interest within universities, this became a serious focus of the work of the Yunus Center, is to facilitate the creation of Yunus Social Business Centers within universities. I'm very happy to let you know that we are now at 100 universities in 37 countries that have established Yunus Social Business Centers. Each one has its own kind of individual identity, individual type of action that they're undertaking. And we, from the Yunus Center, we don't control anything. We just help facilitate it. It's quite a simple process to help create one. And you stay in touch with us. And what we try to do is enable some of these get-togethers a couple of times a year, once coinciding with the Social Business Day, once coinciding with the Global Social Business Summit. But it's actually the universities themselves that are powering this program. I'm very happy to know that the University of Turin is now very interested to establish a YSBC here, and we'll hear more about that later today. We're very happy to see that within the time of the pandemic, there was a very big growth in the network, with 8 universities in Africa joining in. Tangaza University is represented from Kenya today, and the work continued. We didn't stop. We didn't stop having our meetings. They were online, but this is exciting because it's the first in-person meeting of the academia network after the pandemic. So very excited to see everyone in person. Some of the activities I just wanted to highlight that we've done with the African network, for example, includes having done the Social Business Day with CUZ and our university partners in Africa. We did a youth forum within the pandemic. We held the academia conference also last year in the pandemic as an online program. We have done with CUZ also in Zimbabwe the launch of a social business fiction competition and a social business design competition. It's a global competition that had more than 1,000 participants from 72 countries. The design competition has come to a conclusion, but the fiction competition is still ongoing and will come to an end in December. That is something that you may wish to look it up. It's on the UniCenter website. It's also, my colleagues will tell you where exactly you can find out about that. So that's been an exciting activity that we have done. So without further delay, I would just like to thank everyone who helped put together the conference. Professor Cam Donaldson, our scientific chair, he's here. He has been from the start the academic force behind the setup of this conference. I want to thank Hans and the GCL team that has been helping us to organize this event on the sidelines of the summit since 2009, 2010. I would like to thank all the speakers and panelists who are here and who are joining in. I would like to thank YY Foundation. Dominic is here. Where's Dom? Yeah. Thank you for facilitating the support for the holding of the conference, as well as to enable many of the Bangladeshi delegations to come for this. And finally, I'd like to thank the UniCenter team, especially Zeenat, who you've heard from, who's been a big force behind putting this together, also Shihab. So thank you very much. And thank you, of course, to Professor Mohammed Yunus, who is the visionary and inspiration behind this conference and the entire movement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lamia Morshid. And now Mr. Hans Reitz, founder and managing director of Grameen Creative Labs. So if you could just come and share some short words. Thank you.
So, hello, and it's very nice, and Lamia already did all the official welcomes. So when we started to build the Global Social Business Summit, the whole academia movement was very new to us, and Cam directly picked it up, and together with our friends, and it becomes a real institution. At this time, 2009, in my own person, I was just an entrepreneur. I had no clue about universities. I started my first business when I was 14. So today, every Friday, I talk to the Ludwig Maximilian University. Every Friday, I have my feedback with the Technical University. I do self-reflection. I got every week into the social psychologist, and I really, really can now more imagine what you all do and how important and how incredibly important is your work day by day for our society, especially where we are now. There is no way back. Professor Yunus once talked a couple of years ago, there is no going back. Now we didn't have even the choice. There is no way back anymore. So we need every single person in this room, every student from your university, every professor, every supporter of the university to find the way out of the mess where we are in. So I hope you enjoy Turin. I hope you enjoy this beautiful facility what we have here. I hope one of the others see tonight when we mingle together tomorrow. And it's an honor for me to be part of this movement and respect of your work. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Hans. That was quite a good, insightful speech. I would now like to welcome the Professor Cam Donaldson, Yunus Chair and Distinguished Professor of Health Economics, Yunus Center for Social Business and Health, Glasgow Caledonian University. Big round for Professor Cam.
Thank you. Have we got slides for this, or? Yeah. Well, next slide then in that case. As has already been pointed out by Lamia, I'm the chair of the scientific committee for the academia meetings that go alongside the Social Business Summit. Now, really, I don't do very much, despite what people have just said. And the main role of the scientific committee is to assess papers that are submitted for a presentation at the conference. So this year I didn't really have a job. So one of the jobs that Shihab and Zainat have allocated to me is to, just before we start to think about even more of an exciting future for social business academia, is just to remind returners and also to orientate newcomers as to the past and what we've built as an academia movement alongside social business. So next slide, please. Of course, we start with our great leader carrying the torch for us there, but the main message actually is on the right-hand side of this slide, which is if you're a newcomer, you'll meet scientists, some lab scientists who are interested in social business. At the other end of academia, you will meet people from the arts, as perfectly illustrated by the opening film to this meeting. And then you'll meet all sorts in between, like me. I'm a social scientist. Very prominent, of course, are people from business schools studying and promoting the idea of social business. So in that sense, it's really quite well, I'd say a unique academic type of conference, but provides lots of opportunity for interesting discussions and collaboration. Next slide. As has just been pointed out, we started actually with an academia session in the main summit at Wolfsburg in 2010. Maybe there were about 20 people around the table at that session, but that's where it all started, and that's what we've grown from. Next slide, please. The following 2 years, we had what were called Academia Days in 2011 and 2012 at the consecutive meetings that we held in Vienna, and we owe a lot to a person who many of you will know, Leo Nima, who was the main organizer from the Grameen Creative Lab in helping us to get these meetings going in Vienna. But at the second meeting in Vienna, we thought, let's expand even further and let's go for an academic conference. Next slide. And that's what we've managed to sustain in each of these locations over the last 9 or 10 years. Amazing events that have just gradually grown and grown in terms of participation across all the different types of discipline that I have mentioned. Next slide. We even look like a proper conference when we have them, and these are the things. It took a lot of work to put these organizational aspects in place. As I say, I chair the scientific committee, but there's most of the work in terms of conference organization is indeed done through the organizing committee, and we owe a lot to the various hosts of the meetings that I listed, as well as to staff at the Eunice Centre and the Grameen Creative Lab for allowing these meetings to actually take place. And equally, the same goes for colleagues at University of Turin. It's just a fantastic location that you've given us today. We expanded also through having academia pre-meetings prior to the Social Business Day. So effectively, we meet twice a year, but we need to do more. We started with 6 themes in the very first conference that we had. And if you just skip through the next 2 slides, we've proceeded to now have about 20 themes at the different conferences. There's no need to read all of these. That's why I was saying just to skip through them if you move on to the next one. And they're organised across 9 tracks. That's just to allow the scientific committee to organise themselves in assessing abstracts and papers. But just amazing growth, an amazing array of topics that we discuss at our meetings. So just to sum up, we have grown amazingly over that 12-year period. I think academia, is really good for the movement to have that sort of separate scrutiny of the movement, the ability for continuous improvement in social business. We've improved and expanded the range of methods, likewise with disciplines over that 12-year period. And as you saw from the list of meetings, we've sustained that. We've grown the number of people attending meetings, fantastic attendance today. And over that period, I would contend that we have enhanced the academic quality of the work that is produced by the social business academic community. Last slide. Today is a bit different. Today we're learning more about activities and financing of YSBCs. I think it's very opportune to take stock of that, given what's happened over the last few years with the pandemic. And of course, even more important than ever is the need to be focusing on collaboration. So not just collaborations within centres, within different parts of the globe, but collaboration across the globe. This is going to be crucial, I think, for our future development, not only of social business, but of social business academia. Thank you and welcome everyone.
Thank you, Professor Donaldson. That was a very insightful information for us all. I would now like to welcome Professor Edigio Dancero, Vice Director for Sustainability and Cooperation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I am not Professor Stefano Geuna, the director of the University of Turin, that cannot be here for an unforeseen health problems. But anyway, he asked me to bring his greetings, the greetings of Professoressa Giulia Carlucci, the pro-rector of the university, and all the entire academic community of the University of Turin. We are really honored to be here with you and hosting the Global Social Business Summit 2022 here in Turin is really a source of great satisfaction for us, in particular to do so at the University of Turin. We have a great tradition of what now we call social business impact, because there is a tradition in Turin of, in Italian we say social saints. In some way, many people that many years ago began to do something very similar to what Yunus has invented. And so for us it's a big stimulus to be part of this great community hosting this summit, and in particular in this campus that is dedicated to Luigi Einaudi. Luigi Einaudi has been a very important man from politics and especially from economy, and has been the second vice president of the Italian Republic, and a very important scholar, more than politician, that especially in innovating in economy and in finance particularly. So in some way is particularly significant to be here. And the partnership with this global social summit for us is a way to begin a partnership with all the global social business network. And I will say something more lately about the process of establishing a social business research center here at the University of Turin. We are really interested and we have already begun a process, but I will say something more later. So thank you and good work.
Thank you so much, Rector. And now I would like to invite the driving force behind all our actions, Nobel Peace Prize laureate, Professor Muhammad Yunus. Sir, if you could please kindly place yourself.
Thank you. I'm absolutely delighted that we could have this Academia Forum during this Global Social Business Summit. We all look forward. There's a kind of enthusiastic preparation goes on throughout our network to come to the summit and see each other and say hello and hug and kind of have a family reunion. And during this summit, we wanted to have the Academia Forum so that we can take the academia participants separate and discuss about the progress that we have made in our academic institutions and the thinking that is going on and what are the programs are being discussed, etc. And this time when we are doing it in Turin, Global Social Business Summit, naturally we wanted to be in the University of Turin together and see where we are and bring all the academic participants to come together on this forum. And I was just checking the dates when I came to University of Turin before. I see that I know that I have come 3 times, but I was not quite sure which year is when. Now I figured it out, and with the help of the rector, honorable rector, that first time I came was year 2000. So this is way before the Nobel Prize, because after the Nobel Prize, I've been visiting many campuses more. But before that, it's 2000, it's quite a long time back. And I was given an honorary degree in that trip. It's a fantastic experience to go through. And I remember how I was transported from the campus to the airport with a police escort, making sure I get to the airport to catch my flight, because it's already, we have spent a lot of time on the campus. Don't worry, our police is good. They will escort you, make sure they will go there. And they really did. I was scared to death how they did that. So, but I was very happy that I could visit the campus and meet the students and so on. The remaining one in 2004 and now to 2022. So I'm a familiar person for the campus. I'm absolutely delighted to come back again. The issue that I have raised along the way, that universities are wonderful conceptual entity that the human being came out with, so that all the accumulated knowledge of the past can be handed over to a new generation. That's the whole purpose of the universities, to transmit the knowledge from previous old generation to a new generation. And they did it very well. And that's why we kind of bring all these young people to come to the university to take part in the transmission process and be familiar with the knowledge that has been accumulated over years. Because of my experience, I've been raising the question, if that is true, this is what the process of the academic world is, then we have to take the responsibility of all the good things our knowledge has done to the world, and we take the bow. Yes, these are the things that we have done because the knowledge has been transmitted well, and we did so many good things in the world. And we do that a lot. We take pride that we do prepare young people to take over the responsibility from then on. But if we take the pride that we do a good job in transmitting and doing all the good things, my point is we should also take the responsibility that our knowledge has done damages to our world. It has to be equal. But we don't do that. We always keep on explaining something else. As it is, if you see something, excuse me, if you see something terrible happening to the world, I will trace back to the university. Because you must have given wrong things to the people, your next generation, to create all these terrible things that we have. And I do that a lot. And being a part of the academic world, I feel responsible that we have done so much damage to the world by giving wrong ideas and wrong solutions to the world. And I focus on 3 aspects, which many of you are familiar. I said all the global warming that we have created in the world, the responsibility directly goes to the people who create this knowledge in a wrong way, to go out and create this mess for the world, making the human beings almost an endangered species right now. So this is one. Second one is extreme wealth concentration that happened to the world. Is also because we created wrong conceptual framework, which we practice and we adopted it as if this is the knowledge. There is no super knowledge after that. In the process, we created wealth concentration. And then we created all the technologies and so on, going into the direction what we call now artificial intelligence, which is not yet in a full implementation of it, but the beginning of it. Beginning of it is very scary. We tell people that we now found a way where machines will be smarter than human beings. They will do better job than human beings. they will know better than human beings. That is a very scary thing. If that is that's what finally it comes out as they are planning, and we are calling it fourth industrial revolution already. This is a fantastic revolution where machines will be doing all the work, we'll come sit and enjoy. And I don't see any enjoyment in it. I see terrible things in it. I see human beings are kind of bypassed completely. Because if machines can do better thinking, better work, there's no need for human being anymore. And that state of affairs where you don't need human beings anymore is a very scary thing, because human beings will be obsolete. They have no necessity for their existence. In a way, they will become the garbage on this planet. And that's what these things, I said, coming from the way we made some wrong decisions, wrong kind of framework of our thinking, led us to these dangerous things. One is making us completely challenge existence in this world. Another, in a financial way, in an economic way, all the wealth goes to one direction, to the top few people. And the remaining population of the world has very little to share with each other. So these are the three aspects that we have to take responsibility. So we said to undo that, to realize that, and create a new conceptual framework, we all have to come back to the campus again. There's no other option, because this is the mechanism by which we transfer knowledge from one generation to all generation to new generation. And that we have to now, this is the part of the job of the university, not only to pass on the knowledge, also challenge the knowledge. And challenging the knowledge, that's where we have to do. That's why we thought about creating a little entity within the campus, within the academic framework, what we call social business center, because we are challenging all aspects of economics, which we felt terribly damaging for human existence. So we challenge the very concept that human beings are driven by self-interest. That's the essence of the economics that we learn. Human being driven by self-interest, making human being as a selfish entity. I said, that's terribly wrong. Wrong description of a human being. Human being may be driven by self-interest, but that's not they are all driven by. Human beings are bigger than that. So human beings are driven by self-interest and also by collective interest. That collective interest part is completely wiped off from economics. If you are talking about collective interest, go to the government, they can do the collective interest. Our job is to make money. In the process, human beings turn into money-making robots. That's what the essence of all the problems that we created for ourselves. So we have to come back to the campus to see if we can correct it, we can change it, we can do that. That's where the ideas of social business came, creating business for collective interest, without any intention of making personal money out of it. And creating entrepreneurship. This is another complaint I have, that human beings are born as entrepreneurs. But the academics, our theoreticians, kept on telling us the best use of human being is to become a job seeker. So in millions and millions around the world, we are all preparing ourselves. We are being trained by our campuses, our universities, to become good job seekers. I cannot accept that role of job seeker as a human being, because the moment you accept a job, you have to surrender your creativity. Job and creativity doesn't go together. You have to abandon it. I said all human beings are born as a creative being. That is the essence of human being, packed with unlimited creative capacity. By turning them into job seeker, we are depriving the world of that creativity. Because job comes in the tradition of slavery, not in the tradition of entrepreneurship. So I say universities to begin with, should first focus on unleashing the entrepreneurial power of the young people. If somebody feels like he doesn't want to or she doesn't want to be an entrepreneur, option will be given. Yes, you can work for the entrepreneur. That will be a choice made by the individuals, what they want to do. So there should be parallel things for training young people, preparing young people to become entrepreneurs, be creative, and unleash the creative energy that every single individual has. So these are the issues where we wanted to have a little corner with the university to discuss this, challenge it, refine it, and see what it makes. That's what the social business centers is all about. I'm glad now many social business centers have been created in, I think, 38 countries, more than 100 social business centers of varieties of qualities and varieties of involvements and so on, but with very initiative that they could get a corner in the university campus is something justifies the existence of universities to challenge the existing thinking process and see which one is the right path to take. It's become extremely important right now, the role of the university, because world is coming to the edge of the cliff. Our life will be over on this planet. And it's very close by, it's not too far away from us. And by all indication, all scientific projections, it will be all decided within this century. World which is coming for millions of years, their fate will be decided in 1 century, less than a century, where they exist or they don't exist. Whether we call ourselves endangered species or we call ourselves we are the one who take responsibility of this planet. And that's the challenge we all have to take, and this is what we discuss in the forum, academic forum, and we translate into our actions. And we say that this civilization that we created with our knowledge is about to destroy us. If you want to survive, we have to create a new civilization. So this is a transition process. We have to create a new civilization consistent with the capacity of human being, which is enormous, not limited. And create a world based on human values. The present civilization is based on a money-centric focus of the way that we spend our daily lives. We become money-making robots on this planet. So how to transform the money-making robots into human beings, that's the challenge for us. And that's the direction we have to create that new civilization. And to sum it up, I try to explain it by saying we want to build a world of 3 zeros. 0 global warming, 0 wealth concentration, and 0 unemployment. So if you can create this world, that will be a new civilization for all of us. And that's the only way we can survive. The faster we can do, better chance that we have a survival possibility. If you even delay it, we won't have time for our existence in the world. So that's the kind of time that we are adding. So this is, I hope we can all put our heads together, not that because I say this right, I'm putting it on the table so that it can be discussed. Maybe there are better ways, better way to explain everything, but I give my own experience and kind of bring it together to see whether this is, at least until we find a better one, this probably is the right path to proceed and do that. That's why the Global Social Business Summit is taking place. That's why Academic Forum is taking place, so that we debate and discuss and act. Because unless we act, we have no chance. It sounds terrible, but this is the reality that we are facing right now. And thank you very much to University of Turin to give us a platform to discuss and debate and see what is the right path to take. And prepare our young generation, because they are the sufferers who will have to go through immediately. And their next generation probably may not have any chance at all if we don't do it right. So with those harsh words, we have to face the reality and see where we want to go. And thank you very much for all of you to participate. Thank you. Thank you.
So a big round of applause for our opening session speakers for kickstarting this event with such inspirational words. Now we're on to our announcement section, but before that, I want to recognize all the respected academics of the University of Turin who are here, the students who are here. Thank you so much for hosting this event with us, and of course, for expressing interest in establishing a UNO Social Business Center at the University of Turin. And this is what the announcement now is about. It is about the collaboration between UNO Center and the University of Turin. And for this, I call upon Professor Egidio Dancero, Vice Rector for Sustainability and Development Cooperation, the delegate for the Rector, Professor Dancero.
Back again. Okay. We sincerely thank Mohamed Yunus for this extraordinary opportunity and for his presence at the University of Turin. We are grateful to Professor Yunus because with his studies he showed the way, and then with his work open up a new perspective in the field of social enterprise and ethical finance. So we take this opportunity, and we are pleased to announce that we have started the process of establishing a social business research center at the University of Turin. There will be, at the moment, surely 5 departments that will be involved. The Department of Economic and Statistics, and I thank Professoressa Elisabetta Ottoz and Vera Palea that are there. The Department of Culture, Politics and Society with Professor Ramella. The Department of Economic, Social Science and Mathematics. I don't know if Professor De Vicenti is here, but anyway, the Department of Law and the Department of Management, and also with the School of Business Administration with Professor Bogetti. Okay, thank you. So we will have 5 departments as a special school linked to business studies and management, that with many researchers that are and scholars that are interested, involved. And so we have begun a planning phase in which we will try to define better the objectives and the topics of interest that the Turing Center will have, so which will be the focus, and also trying to connect the many research that we already are doing as the University of Turin, but with also the many actors of the territory, and also our public engagement activities. I want to say, for instance, that is an organization that is called Torino Social Impact, with which we will work, and in particular with the United Nations organization that are based in Turin. We have several master degree that we organize with the training center of ILO, and I know that the training center of ILO already organized with the Boulder Institute Foundation and also you, a very important microfinance program. So there are many actors in the territory with which we will cooperate. And the birth of this center represents a concrete opportunity for growth, both for the university and its strategic activities and for our territory. So we are really glad, and we will go in this direction. Thank you. And now I am sorry, but I go always for the global social business, but to the Lavazza for another meeting on urban food security. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dancero. Now I call on stage Professor Joselle Dagnes, Assistant Professor, Department of Cultures, Politics and Society. Professor Dagnes.
Thank you. It's a great honor to be here today on behalf of my department. My department is willing to contribute to a new Yunus Social Business Center in multiple ways, also thanks to its strong vocation for the study of society from an interdisciplinary point of view. And in these few minutes, I'll outline just one of the lines of research in which some members of the department are involved and which we believe can be an added value for this collaboration, of course, along with many other projects and researches that are carried out by other colleagues. Since the growth model we have followed is facing a twin crisis, a social crisis and an environmental crisis, we know that we need to work together to make a social and ecological transition of the economy. To face this huge challenge, with many colleagues within an international research program called the Foundational Economy Collective, we are working on the governance and the regulation of everyday economy. In a nutshell, the everyday economy, or foundational economy as we call it, consists in the daily essential goods and services, so including, for example, health, care, education, but also food supply, transport, housing, and utilities like water, electricity, gas, and so on. These are basic goods that must be available for everyone, regardless of income, because they are driver of well-being and social cohesion. This should be obvious, but we know it is not. Since, for example, also in Europe, where these rights have been guaranteed for a long time, in the last decades, public investment in these sectors have fallen dramatically, and the foundational economy has been exposed to market regulation with no safeguards. And in many other countries outside of Europe, we know that these goods and services are even less guaranteed. So, as researchers, we are investigating new solutions where state, market, and society are combined differently in specific places to ensure citizen well-being. We need to redesign the everyday economy, focusing also on the local and regional scale, and we need the alliances between different political, social, and economic actors in order to protect people. In this process, social businesses are key actors because they have the potential to support the infrastructure of everyday life. They have the attitude, they have the business model, and they have the vision to ensure fair conditions for both citizens, workers, and the planet. So we are really excited to become part of this learning community and to start contributing to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're really excited to welcome the University of Turin into our YSBC family. Many of our colleagues from all over the world are here today. Our colleagues from Japan are here, our colleagues from Kenya are here, our colleagues from Bangladesh are here, from Portugal are here, from Thailand are here. So it's many of us are here today. It's 100 university in 37 countries, and we are just waiting to bring University of Turin on board. So we'll have that launching hopefully soon. And with that, I go on to the next announcement. It gives me immense pleasure to call on stage Professor Cam Donaldson, Yunus Chair and Distinguished Professor of Health Economics, Yunus Center for Social Business and Health, Glasgow Caledonian University. I call upon my colleague, Mr. Shihab Kader, Head of International Projects. I call upon Mr. Dominique Douster, Managing Director, YY Foundation, and of course our Executive Director in Yunus Center, Ms. Lamia Morshed, to tell you about the Social Business Academic Research Initiative in East Africa. Please come on stage.
The person closest to the microphone has to start speaking. It seems I drew the short straw. I feel a bit of a fraud here as a middle-aged white man standing up talking about an amazing initiative in East Africa, particularly given that, that some of our colleagues who are going to be very active participants in it are here today. I just wanted to introduce Dr. Jonas Gineku Yawovi from Tangaza University College in Kenya, who's sitting here in the second row, and two of his colleagues are elsewhere in the room. I can't quite see them at the moment, but welcome, guys. You're going to be the fulcrum of this initiative. It's something that really excites me. It's this idea of collaboration across continents that I was talking about earlier, but it's for research and it's for capacity building, which I just think are just so exciting. The role of Glasgow Caledonian University in this is really one of administration. The technicalities of the source of the funds, etc., means it has to be administered by a university in Europe, and we happily volunteered to do that. So it's important to point that out, that the money is going to be spent in Africa and in African universities. And I think we have about 150,000 euros to spend in just over a year. And I see it as I mean, the universities themselves will define this, but I would see it that very likely the money would be spent on projects along three lines. One is small research projects themselves, which might be self-contained, but would also hopefully lead to larger projects from other funders in the future. They would, an important characteristic, secondly, would be that the money is used to support what we would call early career researchers, and within that we would include PhD students who are obviously studying for longer but might have some ideas that they want to develop within that. And of course, a third area is that of knowledge exchange across the universities, but importantly, we want to generate partnerships with the social business sector in generating ideas for research and actually the prosecution of that research. So collaboration is very much at the heart of this. We would hope through the period of the award to perhaps have 2 or 3 actual conferences, hopefully in person now, and we would invite anyone who can get there, and that includes my own university, to pay to get there under their own steam, given that this money is for the universities involved in Africa, largely in East Africa. I think it's an amazing coup to get this money, and we just have an enormous debt of gratitude to Dom and his colleagues at the YY Foundation, and as I have said already, to the participating universities. I know there's lots of enthusiasm amongst those universities from meetings that we've had on screen already in preparation for this. The documentation should all be signed off this week, and we can get going and start spending. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Cam. That was quite insightful. And we look forward to our projects in East Africa with you and UniCenter. So now, let's go on to our first panel discussion. It will be on social business research collaboration and paper publications. The moderator would be Dr. Enrico Testi, Director, ARCO Action Research, and Co-Development Director, Yunus Social Business Center at the University of Florence, Italy. Enrico, if you could come on stage, please. Let me just introduce the speakers as well. So the speakers for this panel, designated panel session would be Professor Cam Donaldson himself. You are getting some good exercise coming up. So would you mind coming up? Cam, would you mind coming up to the stage and having a seat? And Professor Abdul Hannan Chaudhuri, sir. He's a professor, School of Business and Economics, SBE, North-South University, Bangladesh. Ms. Sharmin Sonia Murshid, Chief Executive Officer, Broti Samaj Kollan, Bangladesh. Andrea Baledbo, Yunus Social Business Network, Barcelona, Spain. Dr. Jonas Zineko Yavovi, Director of Institute of Social Transformation, Tangaza University College, Kenya. And Dr. Michael Words from Cologne, Germany. Enrico, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So this is our first panel, and as Lamia and Cam reminded us, the nice thing of the Yunus Social Business Center and the academia meeting is actually that it's open to universities, but also to a diverse set of stakeholders. So in this panel, actually, we do have an example of this. We have distinguished academics, but we also have practitioners that are involved in projects and research as well, and individual consultants. The topic today is research collaboration between these diverse set of stakeholders. So, first of all, the rules of this panel. I know that panelists don't like rules, but there are some rules. And so, the first question will give you 5 minutes and 30 seconds time. I will be really strict of the 30 seconds. And the first question is to tell us what are your activities in research, but also in practice, since you are not all involved in research, and how can we actually collaborate together with different stakeholders, and which are the difficulties in these collaborations as well as opportunities. To get things a bit more spicy, I might also add some questions I didn't tell you before, so you can kind of be a bit afraid about it. I will ask Cam Donaldson, which I will not introduce again, to start. You want to speak here again, or you prefer to sit there?
I'm happy to do either.
Either. Maybe from there. We change a bit the setting.
Okay. That's red. Is that better? Can you hear me now?
No. Oh, maybe you can. No.
Okay. So we're in northern Italy, so you have to have rules, don't you? That's the thing. Right. I mean, again, I do have some slides because only the best speakers can speak without slides. So I have to, being an old academic, have to rely on these. So I hope that at some point they will appear. I'm going to just move on to the second one, thanks. Just which is a repeat of one that I've shown before, because it's just to make that general point that I think that something unique about the group of people that gather at this meeting is the ability to have conversations on interfaces between the several disciplines that are academic disciplines that are represented. And I think it's on those interfaces where we make a lot of scientific advances. I think as well, I'm going to make sort of two general points. One is what might be required for collaboration, that's fine, within, say, a given centre. And I think there are lots of things that make for a successful research centre, but these are just some of the characteristics. Leadership and maybe a vision in terms of what's your big idea. Our big idea at the Unis Centre for Social Business and Health at Glasgow Caledonian is that any social business can be portrayed as acting on social determinants of health, because just about any social business is dealing with or trying to address aspects of social vulnerability. So even if you look at something like the Grameen Bank addressing poverty, can be seen as a public health initiative as well, because it enhances people's well-being. Another key factor, I think, in building a centre is, of course, to build critical mass. I think we have a fairly unusual collection in terms of our critical mass. We have health economists, we have historians, geographers, design thinkers, sociologists, people in business management, and a very strong mix of quantitative and qualitative methodologies that we employ as we are trying to evidence social business and microfinance as public health initiatives. So note that we're a centre for social business and health, but we don't have any sort of health professionals as part of our academic grouping. I think also within academia, it's important, and this won't be news to many of the academics in the room today, to be operating within important international networks. So just a couple of examples there. The SDGs, something very much promoted by Professor Yunus himself. PRIME is Principles of Responsible Management Education, which will be familiar to people in business schools, and that's really the United Nations sort of business school arm of the global compact through which they try to involve business in addressing the SDGs. Next slide. So from all that, if you're reasonably successful, you can publish papers in all sorts of different journals, and this is just the headings of various papers that we've published over the years. And being very multidisciplinary, we would publish in different disciplinary journals, and also journals that are cross-disciplinary as well, like social science and medicine, for example, is a common one that we publish in. Next slide. But I think the key for today is what we can do as YSBCs together. I think we have an amazing basis for this, much of which again is represented in the room today. And it's been built, I think, by the extraordinary people at the UNIS Centre, led by Lamia. Where is Lamia? Just an extraordinary person who has helped create what I described in my initial presentation. Next slide. And that's just, some examples of previous meetings that we've had in that regard. Next slide, please. And from the meetings themselves, they're important as a form of collaboration. Professor Yunus tends to come along to these meetings and set the academics various challenges, like he just did. He came along with quite a specific one a few years ago, which was, I would like to see a paper from an academic perspective that would help this idea of a people's vaccine, the campaign for global distribution of the COVID vaccine. And out of that came a conversation with Jean-Luc Perron, who's from the YSBC in Paris, who had some brilliant ideas, which Professor Yunus and I were really just able to formulate into what looked like an academic paper that got published in one of the Lancet journals. So just out of these conversations alone, that type of valuable publication can arise. Next slide. Can YSBCs, though, do more together? I think really beyond writing sort of conceptual and opinion type papers of the sort that I just described, it's really about doing more primary research together. And I think that they do. Our university has worked for over 10 years, I think, with yours in Florence, but also for a number of years with universities in Barcelona, Montpellier. These are around sort of projects that are funded through the European Commission. But I think, again, the key today is what can we do to get beyond Europe? And I think that although it's European funding, Erasmus Plus project funding, I think, can be really valuable as a form of capacity building. These are projects that deliberately involve universities outside of Europe in helping them to build capacity for future research around a particular theme. And we, again, through the YSBC network that Lamia and others have created, we have a fantastic asset that should enable us to exploit those types of competition. And of course, beyond European Commission funding, we've just seen a perfect example that Dom and the YY Foundation have helped us to create with the initiative in East Africa, but I shall leave that to be gone into in more detail by my illustrious colleague, Dr. Jonas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cam. It was very interesting, actually. I found very interesting the part of the paper that came out from the advice from Professor Yunus on the COVID vaccine. And actually, my question is, from your perspective, since you have been in the academia network for so long, I'm not implying you are old by this, but do you think, as a Yunus movement, should we leverage more on publishing papers to kind of change policies? And do you think this is actually possible? I mean, can we actually bridge the gap between academia and policymakers? If you want to come here.
Oh, of course, yeah. Yes, I think that's a really good idea, and I think we can do more of it. That's just one example. There was a good example, I think, from several years ago, Professor Yunus might remember a paper that you published in Harvard Business Review with the group from HEC Paris. And again, that was, that's in a fairly standard business journal. I say fairly standard, a very prestigious one, but standard in terms of its view of business and the role of economics and the like. So that was really quite a big challenge to business schools, published in a hugely prominent paper, and I think that will have had impact amongst students in business schools who are thinking, I would like to look at business a little bit differently. So so it's not just there's more than that example, but I think again it's something we could do more of.
Thank you, Cam. So they told me that to speak from there, you need to push the button. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
it should work.
So,
It's just
and we also have the hand mic.
red, so we thought, oh, that means
Yeah. Just in case. So, Professor Chaudhary, please.
Good evening. I think I am the luckiest one from the Academia of Bangladesh that I was able to attend the Global Social Business Summit in 2010 in Olsberg, where we have been able to actually brainstorm that, well, academia needs to go forward and to start collaborating in terms of getting more papers published and also realizing more projects to be done in the academic environment. In Bangladesh, despite all the odds, I would say that the academic institutions that I have served and I've been serving actually, we have worked enormously, in terms of doing academic activities in our campus and also in the country, and finally been able to also train quite a few faculty members, those who have been able to finish their PhDs on social business arena from Australia to UK and also one from Canada also. So we see that, well, quite a few papers have been published also. As far as the centers goes on in Bangladesh, we do not have many, but we have quite a few universities. They are actually working, with different goals in different institutions. At my university, we have been able to actually materialize many conferences, actually large 4 conferences on academic conclave and social business forum, out of which we have been able to give opportunity to the young students and also faculty members to brainstorm in the subject matter and also to write papers and features and many things they have been able to do. We're way too far behind in terms of materializing project with external funding sources on social business. That is very ground reality for Bangladeshi institutions. The way CAM has been able to even talk about that funds from Erasmus and from other side of the world can go to the, Africa. I think Bangladeshi institutions truly need also to deal with sort of funding so that we can actually form the young group of researchers in our country so that they can also look into various aspects of social business, impact study, and also all sort of prospect and, comparing with the social entrepreneurs, CSR, and other activities. There are many issues in theoretically, if we see, we really need to research on. And also, I would like to share one thing to the audience that, well, publishing world actually has converged, over the last 10, 15 years due to the penetration of the technology heavily. All sort of publishing bodies like Elsevier to, Thomson, Reuters and, Pearson and any publication, authority, they have converged in a way that no matter where you are actually sitting in the planet Earth, you can actually contribute with a collaborative efforts. And that is something very important for Bangladeshi academic institutions to see that, well, global bodies, like as you may remember, after the 2010 conference, we have been consistently be able to, share our thoughts and experience in the 2000, in the Global Social Business Summit. I myself have been able to attend out of 12 conferences, at least I would say 8 of them, 8 or 9 conferences I met over here, and I have been always talking about that Bangladeshi young researchers and faculty members are in dire needs in terms of getting supports from the global academic institutions, because we want to see that, well, knowledge is anywhere and everywhere, and that knowledge goes from other part of the world to a remote corner in Bangladesh, because there are potential researchers and young graduates and young faculty members are actually residing and sitting there. As far as the center goes on, sometime we could not establish many centers in our country just because of the administrative procedures, and we are running highly regulated academic programs in our country. But we have not been able to, we bypass many things because we have run short courses, training programs, and always sessions for the young youths and young bodies. And that's how we have actually disseminated knowledge to our students. And we have figured out that, well, more than thousands of students, they have got the idea of social business heavily. We really need to go for researching on different aspects of social business issues that have been raised by our students and our colleagues in our ground, but we cannot take them forward. That is what is one of the obstacles. I would say that, well, the part of collaborations, when Enrico, when you talk about collaborations, I would say that, well, every single institution has some merits, demerits, strengths, and weakness. We must try to figure out who has what. Like Cam Donaldson has been actually giving huge services from Glasgow Caledonian University. We have got also support from HEC Paris heavily, where we have been able to train more than 11 faculty members in different times about social business aspect, and they are engaged, and they have actually written papers, and we have been able to get those things. So I see that, well, the more collaborations that we are going to do, the better chance that we are going to be able to increase the number of faculty members to be involved on social business, research part. And there are impact study that is also very important. Many of you, know that, social business hub is also in Bangladesh. There are plenty of social business activities going on in Bangladesh. We would like to see that foreign institutions, the global institutions, they are going to come and share their research questions with the academic institution like us. Then with their help, we are going to design in terms of sorting out that what are the key indicators for researching the social business things, and what are the measurable characteristics that we really need to see, and eventually quantify those things in terms of giving the outcomes that can be viewed in many ways. So we are not going to say that we are falling behind or we are behind, but we would seriously urge for the academic institutions, those who have got fund and also those who have research questions, just throw those questions to Bangladeshi institutions. We have very good team. We can also materialize, support those things, because nowadays it does not matter where you are actually sitting in the very connected world. And I would request the young researchers, those who want to actually focus on actually many things, that social business financing has actually becomes a big problem. What are the ways that we can actually resolve those things? Social, we can compare and contrast between the joint ventures and small social business issues and source of funding, problems, prospects of different country and location-wise social business issues, and also differentiate between the social business and among the social business, social entrepreneurships, NGOs, and CSR activities. And there are microfinance issues and microcredit issues that comes with also social business. We will be actually materialize and support those things from our part of the institution. So in my count, not only my university in Bangladesh, there are 20 universities, small and big, both private and public. We see people like us, they are involved, they are interested, but they do not get enough fund and also sometimes to lead those things in our country. I think this is something very important for Bangladesh to even take the academic activities in the next level with the help of the global global partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Chaudhary, for your comprehensive overview of opportunities in Bangladesh. Just in a few seconds, could you provide an advice for European universities that would like actually to start a collaboration with Bangladesh University? What should we look at first? What kind of type of agreements should we try to...
Yeah, let me share some of the activities that we do, even not under the auspices of the social business, but under the SDG goals. There are foreign bodies and institutions are coming in terms of collaborating with us. There is an institution, what we call in India, this is called the MGIEP projects that we are running at North South University, what we call the Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Peace and Sustainability. They are actually looking forward to see some of the impact of the SDG goals in the industry of Bangladesh, and we are helping them in terms of sorting out those indicators. So I think there are clear scenario I see that social business in line with the SDG goals, we can actually address those things giving the country perspective in Bangladesh, and also we can compare and contrast with the other parts of the world and advanced countries as opposed to the Bangladesh and also the regional part. There are clearly opportunities are there.
Perfect, thank you. So we will move now to Mrs. Shamin Sunaya Murshid. I hope actually I pronounced correctly. So please.
Almost correctly. Almost correctly. Yes. Can I have my slides, please? Can I have my opening slide, please?
Should come over here. No one is coming there.
Yes. Honorable guests, dignitaries, and our Nobel laureate, Professor Muhammad Yunus, a visionary of our time, let me present to you a different picture, and let me present to you our experience where human rights meet social business. I work at the grassroots, and Broti means the committed ones. It defends the rights of the marginalized. A 20 years journey has been a 20 years search for sustainability. Building from the bottom, we formulated Gonokriya Gobeshona, a collective action research of the poor, we call it by the poor and for the poor, leads to youth movements, community vigil, and villagers trying to protect their own human rights. Next, please move on to the next. And the next. That's right. Protecting ethnic culture, people, women, and children is fundamental to the committed ones. Next, please. And next. Our vision is a happy people living in harmony with life and nature, seeking solutions where human rights is threatened. Next. We know that without water, food, livelihood, health, we do not have human dignity, nor do we have happiness. These are the fundamentals of human rights. The question we face is how do we sustain this beyond project life and ad hocism? We, as a social organization, learned social organizations survive as long as there is a project, and projects survive as long as there is charity. And charity eventually is disempowering. Our dilemma was, and to add to that, a human rights organization, which is our organization, is amongst the most vulnerable and least viable for reasons which are known to us here and globally. We faced a dilemma. We asked ourselves, can human rights actions have a business lens? And we thought it could, if it is business with compassion. Next slide, please. And the next. Please move on to the next. Sorry, I didn't talk about the next slides. Okay. Now, we felt that it cannot be business as usual, and it has to be business with compassion. The next slide. And what other business other than social business? So we began experimenting from 2010. After several, perhaps even many, failures, we piloted actions where social business and human rights could find a common ground. And this is what I would like to quickly share with you. Next slide, please. Schooling for marginal children. Go on to the next slide. Schooling for marginal children, Jakhon Jekhane Pathshala. Wherever in a village we found children out of school, to build 100% primary going school villages, we had this incubator, a community spontaneously grown organic schooling for marginalized children, to bring all children into the fold of learning. And we now partner with mainstream English medium school to improve the quality of that education and work through what you call technology, tech for good, well, online learning hub. Next, please. Where there is no healthcare, where we are fighting against climate change and trying to build resilient communities, we have a floating healthcare, where the boat brings doctors, nurses, and basic healthcare to these 15 cyclone-prone villages and act as an emergency ambulance. This is an area where pregnant mothers don't even manage to cross the river to get to the nearest doctor. And now we are trying to bring this community under health insurance. Our next pilot was restoring green traditions, community livelihood, and healthy food. Pure honey from the Sundarban, the biggest mangrove forest. Deshi or local chickens and ducks for an egg a day for every malnourished child, and protein. Sugarcane molasses and mustard oil from the ethnic Pahan community. Next, please. Next slide. Yes. This is a Pahan lady growing her 1,000 ducks. The challenge before us remained developing social business mindset, smooth production, and efficient online marketing, at least. Culture conservation, next slide, please. Cultural conservation is good social business, we thought. Through ethnic tourism, Dharati, Mother Earth, is a program where Shautal village and culture is protected in an ethnic heritage site, which we hope to evolve into a living museum. Next slide. But our biggest success has been in building the filter that makes river water potable. This is the first ecological river water treatment process in Bangladesh that proved rivers can still be made potable. And this was our best social business. This is our best social business story. The principle of purification as old as time is recreated in a Bangladeshi variety, the Broti filter. Next, please. And next. 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 At a glance, this filter produces about 300,000 liters of pure drinking water per day, and it reaches 3 villages, 600 families, through a distribution network of 6.6 kilometer pipeline, connecting to every household. The quality of the water is maintained in partnership with with one of the best private laboratories in the country, Plasma Plus, and they've helped us set the water quality. And this, I believe, this is self-sustaining. We have it is self-sustaining, and I think it is imperative where groundwater is arsenic poison depleted and surface water is available. To achieve SDG 6.1, I believe our rivers must be utilized. Next, I want to say a last word. Social business can, in fact, protect human rights, is the conclusion we've come to. we realize that social business can be a lifeline for human rights organizations like ours. And it can teach the values of human dignity, of building compassionate societies, having higher business conscience, yet make a profit to grow financially. There is need to change the global narrative, as we all have agreed here. And as our leader has said, business not for just for money, but to transform the world. I conclude by saying, I would like to say to the academia, do take the empirical, on-the-ground action researches that organizations like us are doing, and it should contribute to the knowledge that you are trying to put together, and there should be a collaboration between you and the practitioners. You are the academics, we need you. We need the data, we need the, because of our activism, we always need to be ammunitioned with data. We need to be equipped with data, with information, and we too are generating that knowledge. Sir, to our dear sir, we salute you, sir, for showing us yet another pathway to the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Mushid. So we are kind of running a bit late, so I will skip the question, since in your last remarks, actually, you anticipated my question. So with the call for the academia to be more grounded and help practitioners in doing their job. So we'll move now to Andrea Bayebo. She's a long-time friend. She's director of Social Business City Barcelona, which is a very famous program, and coordinator of Social Business Network Barcelona, Spain. So, Andrea, please, can you tell us a bit about your activities and how you mix research and practice?
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Enrico. And wow, it's really good to be here after all these years that we haven't had the chance to meet in person. So it's really, really nice and very inspiring to hear you all. And we have a lot of things in common. So I think that we are collaborating, but we really can go much farther on this path. So I will try to make it brief, okay, since we are running out of time. As Enrico said, I am here representing two parts of the same thing. On one hand, the Social Business City Barcelona, which started in 2016. And which is it's the practitioner part of what we do in Barcelona. So it's in direct contact with the challenges that social businesses in the city and in Catalonia also face. They face every day. And the other part of the whole thing is the Social Business, in this case, network, because it's a network of 8 universities. In Barcelona, there are a lot of universities working, so we thought it's a good idea to bring all them together, make them collaborate and think together on how we can raise the awareness and generate more impact in terms of social business in the academia field in the city. So we have been working these two parts together for a long time now. And we are focused on the generation and transmission of knowledge and rise of awareness around social business and also social economy. And for us, this implies two different focuses. We have an inside focus inside universities. So in this case, what we try to do is generate critical mass, as Professor Kam told before. So try to bring professors, teachers, students on board in terms of social business. And for that, what we have learned is that the best thing you can do is let students, let teachers, let professors experience social business. So we are we develop different kinds of projects to make them experience social business as a way to fall in love with social business. So, for example, we are now developing a project with Caledonian University and Florence and also Portugal and Montpellier to work on social entrepreneurship skills and make students from different countries work together and create, design and create and implement the first steps of a social business. And this is a great project, and I think it's the start for it could be the start of a replication or of a more a tool that can be used in other universities all around the world. Then we have the other part of the thing, that is identifying social business challenges, identifying what they need, what they are facing today in terms of strategy, in terms of management, in terms of financing, and promote action research initiatives between the universities and the practitioners in order to develop solutions, innovative solutions with positive social impact. So in this sense, we are working on digitalization, we are working on social impact assessment, together also with other social business centers around Europe. And as Professor Kam said before, I really think that one of the main challenges we have is trying to work together beyond Europe in our case, because we are pretty focused here. I think it's because we finance over the European Commission, nothing more than that. But we have to search and look for other kind of tools that allows us to work together all around the world. I've heard here some amazing and inspiring initiatives, and I would be honored to bring them to Barcelona and to have my students be in touch with them, experience them. So I think that we have a lot to do in that sense, and a lot of path in front of us. And I think that would be all.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Before your time. Thank you. Andrea, just since you actually finished before the 5 minutes and 30 seconds, thank you for that. But just one question. In Barcelona, I remember you have a lot of experience working with students. And so here we have students at the University of Turin. So what can you tell us about the response of students to programs on social businesses? Mm-hmm. So we also lead the way to the next questions to the other panelists. Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah. As I said, we have developed different kinds of tools and work in different kinds of projects to bring students on board in terms of social business. So we have courses, we have master degrees, we have postgraduate programs, we have contests, and but what they really appreciate, or when they really start loving social business, is when they experience it. So it's not just to learn the theory, because the theory could be a little boring. So we have to make them experience social business. So create a social business. Maybe it's not a real social business at the beginning, but some of them after university have gone with them, with the university idea, with the social business idea they had. So I think that's the point. That's the thing that we have to focus on. Make them experience what we want them to do, what we want them to be, as Professor Yunus said before. And we have to change the way we do things in the academia in this sense. And once a student has experienced a social business, it's difficult. They want just to make money for themselves. So I think this is a perfect way to have them on board.
Thank you. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
So we are now to Dr. Jonas. I will not try to read the full name, but you can tell us how we can actually pronounce it. So you are director of the Institute of Social Transformation, Tangaza University College, Kenya.
Yes.
And you are quite new in the Yunus family, so we are very curious to know something about your activities and your future plan.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we are we are young, new, and then we are trying to take the baby step. But I don't know whether we are taking the baby step or we are trying to walk very fast. We are so much energized by the vision of Professor Yunus. And for us, being part of this global movement has been part of our mission, basically. And what we started as we joined the movement is to create what we call social innovation sandbox. Basically this space where you bring young people to experiment, create, innovate, and create a social business at school. So we believe strongly that this initiative is a game changer in our education system. Professor mentioned it. You know, if the academic institutions do not do the right things, we get what we get. And most of the problem we face on our continent has to do with our education system. So we have a bigger vision of really changing how things are done, how we are preparing our students. That's what we are doing in this sandbox. It's 8 months, but it has been really exciting working with a student. One of the things we have done is to embed action research in what we do, because we know research informs us, gives us data. And unfortunately, in our academic institutions, especially talk about Africa, I think we don't prioritize the research. We don't. And research sometimes comes like a secondary, something I do, when I have time. But research really should inform whatever we do. So we have really embedded research into that from the beginning. We say, look, we need students to document their stories from the beginning, to be able to write their journey. What is changing? What are they learning in this space? How are they innovating? And also students do reflection. When they go to the community, they come back, they reflect. What is happening? So for us, all that is part of also validating the model, because at one point we need to know what is working, what really help our young people to become social innovators, to create social business. So research becomes a very important element. So we are documenting our own journey, and through also the journey of the student. So we want also to write, to tell the story. I think Africa is a storytelling continent, and sometimes we miss that part. Telling the story will also help other students to see, oh, my fellow students have been able to do this, to achieve this. So we want to tell the story through case studies and all that. I think those are important things that this social innovation sandbox is doing. And importantly also, we are collaborating with other social business. Now we are kind of bringing social businesses into the academia. Let them tell their story, how they have done it. And we are also bringing social innovators to inspire the student. So I think this kind of merging the practice and knowledge is really helping. I think that's what we need to push. We want also to convert many of our academia, to say, it doesn't help anybody to keep students between 4 walls for 3-4 years and tell them to go and face the world. No, I think those are the things that this our Social Business Innovation Center is trying to change. So, and I think that emphasizing on the research is, for us, is a key element. And we hope that really the ideal of social business is not something that happened after the students have graduated, but we want to provide for them the opportunity to experiment. So, and to finish, for us, we talked about ecosystem, enabling ecosystem outside the university. What we need first is an enabling ecosystem in our academic institution. Maybe some have already that. So I think that is what we want to do with this, our YSBC, to make Tangaza University College a social business campus. where you see social business coming up from there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jonas. Actually, I really appreciated you talking about enabling ecosystem because, you know, we are in Turin now, and actually Turin, as you know, they did a very beautiful initiative called Torino Social Impact, which actually creates enabling ecosystem for social impact and social economy and social businesses. And this is what Barcelona did with the Social Business City program, and also Taiwan and other cities. But I really, really like what you said, the enabling ecosystem inside the institution. If I think about universities in general, I think it's easier to change the city rather than the university. But actually, I think we should discuss in a future academia meeting how we can change the university within. If you have any idea and suggestion now to tell us, you have 1 minute. Otherwise, we can try to discuss it next time we meet.
Now, I think Professor said something, just try it, okay? What we are doing, we are just trying many things. I, tell the team, let's try and fail. When we fail, but we document, and we will show to the university, you know what? This is what is working. And then you can influence and change the policy of the university about how they teach, what are the practices. Unfortunately, I've seen from my experience that the most resistant people are the teachers, the lecturers that we have. And because they have gone through a system and they are kind of caged in that system, we need to find a way to take them out from that system. The whole aspect of capacity building is key. And for me, I think that's what we are trying to do, to convert our lecturers to become also innovators. Otherwise, you can't, if you're not innovator, how are you going to teach young people to be innovators? So I think that's what we need to do.
That's nice. So we could say every professor is a change maker.
Yes, yes.
Should be. Okay, so always, hopefully. Last but not the least, Dr. Michael Viz. So we were discussing about students, and you have a past in academia with your PhD on social business, and now you are a consultant. I think you have some few ideas on how to involve students in social business. Can you share it with us?
Yes. Thank you. Maybe let me share you some basic thoughts about our education system at first, and I think it goes within your thoughts. I think in our education system, we are in the dominant mode of competition, also in the business system. And this is because we have that grade system in the universities and the schools, and students are learning for grades, for testimonies to become the best job seekers, where they compete with each other after they completed their studies. And I think the dominant mode of the future, of a sustainable future, is cooperation and not competition. And I think even this great system we have in schools and universities finally lead to some kind of social inequality. So if we can't abolish the grade system in the near future because it might be too progressive, we can at least build up an infrastructure at our universities where we can create some kind of counterbalance. And I think 4 short pillars of such a social business infrastructure, you also said it. First would be create a social business course where you learn how to write a social business plan, where you teach students basic elements of marketing, cost analysis, stakeholder analysis, all this stuff, and offer it to each student, not only to the business students, but also to the physics, to the philosophy students, to the design and arts. They also want to be engaged in social and sustainability aspects, and maybe want to get another way how they can be a job giver, not only a job seeker after their study. Secondly, if they did this plan, for a good university infrastructure, you need a kind of co-working place, a social startup. Call it social business lab. gives them one classroom they can meet and they can experience the social business ideas. Finally, what we also have already in some centers, you need some kind of idea competition, at least once annually, where they can present their projects and where you can invite local investors, entrepreneurs to reflect on the ideas and also to become partners, maybe financial partners, whatsoever. Then you create a link in the local ecosystem of the university. And fourthly, I've said it before, some kind of a kind of university-based crowdfunding platform would help students to make their projects become visible and also gain investors. And if you created that infrastructure, you might also have groups of students which you can link to the 3-0 movement. You have another great movement you can join at the end. So at the moment I'm applying for professorships in social entrepreneurship, and if I succeed in getting into academia again, I would not so much focus on grades within my work, but would adopt the mindset of an employee of Grameen Bank, being a supporter of entrepreneurship. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your ideas, Michael. I was just wondering, you said we should kind of move from competition to cooperation. Yeah. And all our system, more or less, is based on competition at the moment, even though we do have many examples in the social economy and social business where we have cooperation. But how can we do it in our universities?
It would be very courageous to think about abolishing the grade system, because we need drastic movements, because we are running out of time, as you said. But, well, at least you can build up such an infrastructure at a university, because social business is a concept of cooperation.
Okay, thank you. So I think the panel was supposed to end at 6:10 and it's 6:12. So I think we can stop it so we get back on time. Okay? So thank you for to our panelists. It was very insightful. We have to take a picture, photo. Okay. Can I join them? Yeah.
Thank you, Enrico. That was wonderful. We would now welcome the guests and the moderator for the second panel. This panel session would be dedicated to the current activities and future plans of our YSBC Global Network. And the moderator for the panel would be Dr. Ujjwal Ibrahim, Assistant Professor, University of Canada West, UCW, Vancouver, Canada. Professor Ujjwal Ibrahim, if you could come to the stage, please. And the speakers at this panel would be none other than Dr. Enrico Testi himself again. You're also having some good exercise. Professor Elisabetta Rigini, Professor of Commercial Law and of Law of Commerce and Financial Markets, University of Urbino Carlo Bo, Italy. Professor Giuseppe Troluccio, Professor in Financial Intermediation, Department of Management, University of Bologna, Italy. Professor Federico Fezas Vital, Adjunct Professor of Social Entrepreneurship, Executive Director at Católica Lisbon, Yunus Social Innovation Center, Portugal. And Paola Samoggia, Composer, Italy. And there's another presenter as well. She's Leticia Lopez from the Monterrey University in Mexico. Do we have everyone here? All yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you to the organizers for having this academia forum within the GSBS. I always thought that this would be a very good discussion and a very important thing, even though we don't have a paper presentation, but at least we have some big announcements and some panel discussions that would be very helpful as we move forward. I was also very happy when I learned that there will be a panel discussion on the YSBC activities because I thought that this would be a great opportunity to get some updates on how things are going. And this is probably the most important time for us to get the social businesses on the ground. So these centers play a vital role to get things going. And the fact that these centers are housed in universities, that itself has a lot of significance for many reasons. First of all, the centers are directly connected with the researchers, the faculty members, and the students who might like to be part of the research as well. That's one thing. Another thing, these centers could be directly involved with the students, and these are the young people. And Professor Yunus has been stressing how important it is now, probably more than ever before, that young people get into it and get involved and so on. So the centers do have a huge role to get the students involved. So two very important groups. And then the stakeholders, because you not only work with the faculty, staff, students, many other organizations, individuals, and so on. So in the light of all these things, this is a very important thing, that there are centers and they're housed in the university. And I teach in an MBA program, irrespective of what course I teach. I always try to bring in the principles of social business, whatever the course is. And one reaction is very common, a lot of enthusiasm, because in the classroom, people want to think about ways to make things better, change the community, how the things are going, status quo, whatever you call it. So a lot of enthusiasm leads them to the next step, right? The next step is they ask me to connect with resources. So I try to connect them with resources, that how they can learn more about social business and so on. So I always thought these centers could be excellent resources, not only for the universities where the centers are located, but also the other universities, because connecting with other universities is just a simple thing now. So I think this is a good opportunity for all of us to get together and have a quick... Now, the only problem is a time constraint. So talking about time constraint, talking about rules, Enrico just taught me that I should have rules, and now Enrico is in the as a panelist now. So the rule could be something like this. Let's talk, each person can talk for 3 minutes, kind of give us some idea what you're doing and what your future plan looks like. And I'll try to ask a follow-up question and then see if time permits, we can go for a discussion. It all depends on the organizers. So without any further delay, let's go to Professor Giuseppe Terluccio, Director, YSBC, University of Bologna.
Thank you for the invitation. And what the connection between a professor of banking and finance to social business? That's my first question when I am talking here. But here we can see at the entrance a nice sculpture related to Luigi Einaudi. And many years ago he said, banks are not made to pay salaries or to close in profit, but they must achieve these just ends by serving the public in the best possible way. So in some sense, we can see some connection between the idea of the social business. We don't create an institution only to make money, but the first goal is serving the public in the best possible way. So just the sculpture in front of us. So for that reason, I thank you, the University of Turin. I think is a natural point where we can start a new social business center. The other point is related to how to change university we discussed before. And we discussed in terms of ecosystem. Sometimes we are making joke in our university and we are saying, it's not ecosystem, maybe it's ego system. So I think that's the best point that we have to disentangle the university, because the risk appetite to publish on relevant journal is so strong for the competition that we have in the young scholars that we have tried to do something for that. And we can see later in the slides, in the UNO Social Business Center in Bologna, we set some kind of conference with relevant journal related to financial and accounting stuff. And the topic of these journals in that special issue was related to sustainable finance, climate change, and so on. So maybe one way to change the system is to create some special conference where in top journals introduce this kind of topic. So it could be interesting for the young scholar. At the same time, we can promote the 3 zeros approach that we discussed in the morning. If we want to make a picture of that, maybe the approach is we have a pie, and we have to decide if we want to create a new slice. This new slice is called social business, or maybe we can do something different, just to create a layer, just a horizontal cut in the pie, where in different disciplines, accounting, finance, marketing, management, we can talk in terms of social business. Because it's one way where we can help people from different departments to get in touch with the social business, and in this way they develop this idea in different disciplines. For that reason, in our UNO Social Business Center, we have such different departments from political science, statistics, math, economics, management, because of course they can listen, they can feel the way to serve the public in the best possible way according to the 3 zeros approach. And in this way, we also attract some young scholars because, of course, the journal impact appetite is very strong for them. And we can deal with top journals. We try to publish on that. And we try to infuse in this journal the idea of the social business. We can go directly to the slides that we have. So the idea is to have a mission in terms of empower individuals and create social impacts. We can move to the next slide. They are networking with other universities. We had some kind of network between other UNO Social Business Center in Italy. And of course, with different kind of institution, we have also strong relation with the Grameen Italia Foundation. In some senses, more related to the practice of social business and microfinance. So different programs where you can include the microfinance piece. Is not only finance, of course, is a more inclusive projects where there is also one piece called finance. And also some relation with the ASO benefit and other institutions. Next slide, please. And here we can just describe how we get in touch with different departments, how we can try to involve in the social business. Our colleagues, they are more interested in other topics. They are strongly related to the social business. Migrants is one of them. Entrepreneurship European project related to migrants, how to prepare a toolkit for them to develop the entrepreneurship profiles. I mentioned before a conference, academic conference that we have done just a couple of months ago, seminars, and a special issue related to good journals, finance research letter, international review of financial analysis, with some special issue related to sustainable finance. Next slide, please. Next. Here we can see different programs that we are trying to develop in Bologna. So big corps and benefit corporation, impact investing, because some people came from banking and finance fields. Migrant diversity, I mentioned before, some people from management, they are more interested in migrants and how to develop entrepreneurship for them. Next slide, please. And Tech for Food, because there are some kind of organizations that are working on that, how to create better food for people, how to preserve farms and lands, and of course the SDGs world. So we have different fields of research related to SDGs and their implementation in B Corp, smart cities, and university, and social business ethics more related to corporate governance and governance inside different kind of structure. So it's not easy to involve people from different departments because they prefer to work on a specific idea. That's the beauty of our job, where we can develop different ideas. Not necessarily we like to work with the guidelines, but in different journals we can also introduce the idea of social business and 3 zeros.
All right, thank you very much, Professor Giuseppe. Just a quick follow-up question. We just learned about the stuff that you do in the center and some of your future plans as well. My question to you would be, how can we make social business more mainstream, more social businesses? I mean, it's a kind of a broad question, so the answer could be manifold. But thinking about the strengths of your center, just a few things. Can you think of a few things that could be done to encourage more people, to make it more mainstream in your target area?
This one is really the main question, how to move from this kind of pervasive effect to one mainstream. This year we start with a conference where the title was Sustainable Finance, but the next year we can change the title of this conference. So we invite the same people, maybe with the same journal, and the title is Social Business in Finance or Social Business in the Financial System. This one could be one way because we cannot change the entire financial system in one day, but of course we don't have a lot of time, but we can move them to this topic with a special conference related to the social business in finance.
That's great, great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's give a big round of applause for Professor Giuseppe. Thank you. And thank you for being on time. So let's make sure we all are kind of a little brief, pretty much 3 minutes, and then we can get a chance to have a follow-up question. Now we go to Professor Federico Vital. Federico, this is the Yunus Social Innovation Center, Lisbon, and it's a brand new center, but you bring many years of experience as a social entrepreneur, consultant. You have experience of all types. So we would love to learn about your program, what you plan to do.
Okay, yes. So first, I can't believe I'm here with you. Oh, God. This because I am, at my core, a social entrepreneur, which means a passionate human being, obsessed with positive impact, and I don't take no as an answer easily. And because I am this way, I experimented a lot of different things in my life. And I think if this is a network of organizations, and academias is also a network of people. So I want you to know me a bit better. Because it has also to do with the vision and the strategy that Católica Lisbon, the university where I come from, has. And so I started off as a lawyer, and then as a banker, and then as an entrepreneur. And in 2007, I created my first nonprofit, and the topic was mental health in families with sick children, and also abandoned and abused children, and also in elderly people. And then I started understanding the difference between creating value for society and capturing value from society, and the different effects it had on ourselves. And I heard your words this morning when you said that if you want to be happy, you can, focus yourself on having a profitable business. But if you want to be super happy, try a social business. And I can tell you by my own experience that that is absolutely true. And you had a huge role on it, because in 2011, I did my INSEAD social entrepreneurship program together with Professor Felipe Santos, who is now the dean at Católica Lisbon. And I heard some quotes of Professor Yunus in the documentary of Ashoka, Who Cares? And I was totally inspired by it. And I understand for the first time, I understood that I was a social entrepreneur. After all, I was not only crazy. And then a whole new world opened before my eyes. So I kept on being a social entrepreneur with my organization, but then I started teaching others how to do the same. And this, dissemination, this passing the word, passing the model, this model was designed by Professor Filipe Santos in INSEAD, and then it was disseminated in Portugal and all around the world through INSEAD. So it has reached a lot of people in the world. And I started teaching this methodology. And I saw someone said that, this learn by doing approach is probably the best approach for social businesses, and I totally believe in that because I saw it. So I had students coming from all sectors and all areas, not only universities, but also secondary schools, companies, public sector, people that wanted to develop their own social businesses. And I did this for 10 years. Meanwhile, Católica Lisbon decided that they would have a curriculum unit dedicated to social entrepreneurship, and they created the Social Innovation Share. And the Social Innovation Share, managed by Professor Filipe Santos, which, for the ones of you that don't know, he is one of the top 2% scientists in citations regarding social innovation, according to Stanford. Well, he created this share and the social entrepreneurship course for undergraduates, masters, and executive education. I'm a teacher in all these degrees, together with a team of researchers and teachers that focus on these areas. So this has been going in Católica Lisbon for many, many years. This social innovation, social entrepreneurship approach, which is, what's your name? Michael. Which is a learn by doing approach. We have 12 sessions, 10 sessions are step-by-step project building, and in the end we have a competition, and we invite people from public sector, companies, social entrepreneurs, and academia. And it works a lot, because many of the projects that get out of each semester chairs are actually transformed into impact ventures, which is, I think, a good measure for the impact of the course. Why did we join this network if we already did this? Well, we already did this, but there's a lot of knowledge, and a lot of sharing. And you were saying it's key to share between universities. We already do that with a lot of universities, but not focused on this topic. So one of the reasons is we want to share, and we want to get all the knowledge. And because, of course, we believe in the vision. We are aligned with the vision. So this is the first, and the second is we also want to contribute. We believe that Portugal can be a perfect country for instance, incubating and be used as a lab of social businesses because of the dimension of the country, because of the environment which is friendly to entrepreneurship, as you may know, and also the social innovation ecosystem in Portugal is really becoming mature. We were the first country to have public fund from the government with 150 million financing impact ventures and also building capacity for them. So we believe that we can keep on running this road. And besides that, we decided to focus on 4 main areas. The first one, of course, is research. Research in 5 topics. 3 of them, we are already doing them. Hybrid models and social business models, the first one. Communication models with impact investors. Scaling up social innovation in organizations. These 3 lines of research are already in place through Filipe Santos' work, but also other researchers. And we're opening 2 additional lines of research, one in system change and systems practice, and the other one in energy poverty. So this is the research part. Then our focus on education and capacity building. Besides the courses we talked about, we are going to create this year a program in SDGs for secondary schools, because we believe that this needs to begin before university. And we're going to do that in partnership with Junior Achievement. I was the CEO of Junior Achievement during 4 years, and I could see the impact they had through their programs on the secondary schools and the elementary schools. So this partnership is really important for the university. And the second one is ESG programs directed to executive education. The third point is partnering with companies, because we want to create open social innovation models with them, which means implementing innovation, not only studying it, creating models to be applied in the field, but also to be working with the companies hand by hand, trying to create innovation in their businesses. And fourth, the weaving, what Ashoka calls weaving, which is an inspirational communication of the concepts and the frameworks, because many people still don't understand what social entrepreneurship, social innovations, social businesses are all about. So we want to focus also on creating a lot of communication about these concepts to the Portuguese society. We want to keep on doing it, not only to the Portuguese society, but also to all the Portuguese spread around the world. I don't know if you know, but we have as many Portuguese living outside Portugal as we do in Portugal. And also we have 260 million people speaking Portuguese all over the world in 9 different countries. So I think that we have an ecosystem here on with connections by language that we can easily use to communicate and to spread the word on what social businesses and social innovation can bring as, innovation. So this is basically what I want to say. I don't know if I have time for a question, but if I don't, no problem.
I think we're doing good as far as time is concerned. So
okay, so I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here, and I really hope to be in contact with the network and on a regular basis. Thank you.
Oh, great, thank you. Federico, thank you for giving us some good idea what the plan looks like moving forward. And it's really good to know that you have some definite plans charted out. And one thing you mentioned, the financing by the impact ventures, impact investment funds, exclusively dedicated to the social business. I think that's very important. I did not know much about impact investment until I went to one of the institutions, and then I learned that they are basically investing on businesses that has profit plus purpose. Sounds more like B Corps to me. And it was very interesting, Professor Giuseppe mentioned one of their research focus is kind of working with the B Corps and so on as research. And social business could be the next step because B Corp already has a purpose embedded in their business, unlike the corporations. Those are the C Corps. So they have a benefit corporation. And next step would be social business. And Professor Yunus was mentioning what Patagonia did. Patagonia was actually B Corp. It's still B Corp, very famous B Corp, but now they're heading toward social business with the initiative that has been started recently, exclusively focusing on environment. So it's very exciting to know about the plans that you have. Quick question for you. Your background seems very interesting, from lawyer to banker to entrepreneur, and then suddenly jumping into social business. Not only taking interest in it, you're creating a system, a center, and leading it from the front. So it's very exciting. And I think it's very important to get all these perspectives. I always thought that. It helped me as well. Even though I teach at a business school, by training I'm a microbiologist as well, by the way. So I think it helps me to kind of see the perspective. So my question is, when we try to invite students, learn about social business and so on, we're not necessarily targeting just the business students, right? We're targeting all sorts of students of different majors, backgrounds, you name it. What could be the system in your center? What could be some interesting things that you're thinking about so that you can attract students from all sorts of backgrounds, not just business?
Okay, so we're already doing that, actually. We already have a course of social entrepreneurship for lawyers because the faculties work together. The campus of business and economics is next to the law campus. And as I was a student of law at Catholic University, so I managed to have this course on social entrepreneurship for lawyers. And I think we also have a medicine faculty, and we have a social service faculty. The social service is already having these kind of programs, and actually they're really open to it. There's not a lot of resistance coming from the scientific councils or whatever. They are looking forward for it. So sometimes I think that we create myth in our head and we avoid action. So I tend to say that, don't think too much about the fears, just try to put it ongoing, and sometimes you will be surprised. My experience is this university and other universities in Portugal, because this is not an exclusive of Católica Lisbon. We have another business school, other business schools in Portugal that are working a lot on this subject. And my experience is that people are excited, no matter where they come from, because the good thing and magical thing about social innovation, which comes with social businesses, is that it can be born everywhere.
Yeah, no, thank you. It's great that you're already taking it into consideration and making it attractive for students of all backgrounds. Thank you very much. Okay, let's give a round of applause to Federico. Thank you, thank you. Now we go to Professor Elisabetta Regini, Professor of Commercial Law, University of Urbino, Carlo Bo. So let's hear your story.
Yes, thank you. And I have some slides. Yes, thank you very much. I would like to show some beautiful pictures from my university that is located in a middle-age and Renaissance small town in central Italy. And the reason why I've decided to show these pictures is because you have a very peculiar, field of research, a field of action. And so we are the Social Business Center of University of Urbino. And can you please move to the next slide, please? And we were established in 2019 when Professor Yunus visited our university for the inauguration of our center. And we have a very specific plan, as I told you. Can I have the next slide, please? And this project is called Business and Culture. And Business and Culture is a project that considers culture as the main driver for economic development. And culture is not only entertainment, but is a way of expressing new concepts, and is the way of expressing the most authentic part of human beings. And so this project aims to enhance all the multiple and very important and fruitful connection between artistic and economic initiatives and actors. Next slide, please. So we are a center that is based in our Department of Laws. And so this project is inside a field that is called Law and Opera, because we specifically focus on mostly, musical arts. And but it's part of the broader field of law and humanities. And law humanities is a discipline that studies the links between humanities and laws. And specifically considering, lyric opera, the plot of an opera is always based in a specific time and space, but it expresses some universal values. Next slide, please. And in fact, we think that in order to change our economic system, we have first of all to change our mindset, our way of thinking, and we have to put spiritual values at the center of our activities. And Professor Yunus says human beings are not only driven by egoistic motivations, but they have an enormous field of emotions, instincts, and reasons that move
move them. And so, I mean, if we want to change the economic system, we have to take into consideration these aspects. And which way is best than arts in order to do so? So during our inauguration in 2019, we started our activities with the performance of a lyric opera, $27, that was composed by Maestra Paola Samoggia, that is here today, and you have seen the video, the very beautiful video at the beginning with of this gathering, and with some moments of this opera. And then next slide, please. We have also experimented new ways. For instance, in 2020, we created with a very young composer a song named Super Happiness, that is inspired by the words of Professor Yunus. Making money makes you happy, but this is not enough. Making others happy, this will give you so much more. Next slide, please. But of course, we also do research. This year, we organized. Participated in organizing a conference, international conference. The topic was place-based sustainability, ethics, and spirituality: call for a new economy serving life. And this was organized together with the European Space Institute, that is an institute for economic and spirituality. And we also participated with a paper. Now we have a new project, and this project is inspired by the speech by Professor Yunus in 2020 about the pandemic, our current situation, how it is necessary to change our way of acting, our way of thinking. And the name is, the title of this opera is I Dimenticati, the Forgotten People, the Discarded. And also we are inspired by the words of Pope Francis about this problem of the culture of waste, people that are considered like waste. And so this is some suggestion in order to, trying to spread a new, as I said, a new way of thinking. Next slide, please. And this new opera is going to stage, in November in our region, just near Urbino. Another slide, please. As I told you, our main concept is the concept of a spiritual economy, an economy based not only upon profit, but upon all the motivation that move the human person in view of a more just society. This motivation are as well expressed by art and culture, and in particular, lyric opera, which has always been rich in human and spiritual values, can constitute an extraordinary communication tool in this sector as well. Next slide. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Regini. Very, very interesting. What I really liked about what your center is doing, incorporating social business in different courses like law, yes, opera, yeah, humanities. That's really interesting. And Federico also mentioned social business concepts being incorporated in law class, law courses. And we know that there are designated social business course. It's a dedicated course, not just embedding social business within a course, there are dedicated course. But your initiatives make me think that social business could be part of general education as well, because in many education system, it's not just the major course. The university I come from, for example, almost 50% of the courses are actually general education. The other 50 is my major. So this could be a good opportunity for us to think about how we can make it part of general education, the way you mentioned, And any comment from you, your comment?
Yes, in fact, we are, as I told you, we are not a big university. We don't have many courses because we don't have many students, so it's not use, multiplying the courses. And what I try to do is I teach commercial law. And so I try to, talk to my students also about these topics. And this is not very common because traditional commercial law courses are about, mainstream economics too. So, I organize seminars, webinars, and also these are occasions for students to become conscious of new perspectives. I invite my students to follow these initiatives, and I think is a new way to spread the consciousness. Also, we pay a lot of attention what we call third mission of our university. Spreading knowledge among the civil society. And for instance, these initiatives are also designed in order to attract people. From everywhere. Citizens who can come and see our initiatives. Also, we are. In my experience, I had some meetings with teachers of high school teachers in order to talk to them about microcredit and social business. So, it's very important, in my opinion, also that we as a university, connect with the civil society. And this is something that we in Italy can do through what we call third mission. First mission is research, the second teaching, the third is, spreading knowledge. And so I think that also this kind of experimenting is a good way in order to, to promote the spreading of new ideas. Also, there's another thing that I would like to say. I think that this way of approaching some, topics like law, economics, with arts and culture, I really feel that this is a very feminine, way of expressing, because most of my team is composed by women. And so I think that this is another way we can give our contribution to the world with a new sensitivity, a new way of expressing new concepts or all concepts with new ways. And so this is something that I would like to share with you. And thank you for giving me this opportunity.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so now we go to Paula. Paula is a music composer, but very much involved with social business. Paula, it is my curiosity, before you talk about what you're doing, you might like to tell us how you got involved with social business, from music to social business, what motivated you, and then your plans, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Just the book, The Banker to the Poor. It was for me like a flash, and I thought it was a wonderful book, a wonderful way to bring a different value in the world, and so I tried to explain it, to tell about it with my music, with my art, and this is the reason why. I think it's a good dream for the future, for the next generation, yes. Great. So I have not the gift of synthesis, and so I wrote my paper. Good afternoon, Professor Yunus and everyone. It's a great honor to be here again. We are a group of artists working on projects involved in Goal 1810 from the 2030 Agenda. We know that in the art world, many people don't know Professor Yunus' work, and we decided to support him by using the language of art. 3 years ago, as Elisabetta explained, we had the debut of our opera, $27, really inspired by the book Banker to the Poor. Professor Yunus honored us with the presence at our premiere. His support really meant a lot to us and gave force to our dreams. This year, when we finally returned to work in the theater, we decided to shoot a short film from our opera. $27 Daydream was created in cooperation with one of the main Italian theater foundations and singers from its opera school. We worked with nearly 60 artists in total in this production. We plant seeds,
both in the direct audience who watch the performance and the indirect audience, all the people we meet on our path. We also achieved the Green Theme certification due to our attention to environmental themes. Thanks to all people coordinating the Yunus Centers and our deepest gratitude to Professor Yunus. Thanks for what you have been doing so far to make a better world. I know you saw our short at 4 this afternoon, but we prepared also a 1-minute trailer for all the other audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please, the video.
Lavoro
Great, thank you. All right, Paula, thank you for your remarks and showing the wonderful video clip. Due to time constraint, we're not going to the follow-up Q&A, so let's go to the next speaker. Now I go to Professor Enrico Testi. Enrico, you're a very known face. You have been with social business almost since its inception, one of the initial center, and you're in charge of it. So please let us know how things are going and what your plans look like.
Thank you. So I'll try to be brief. Just a few words on our center and how we work. Actually, we work as a social business, so all our center is self-funded by the research and consulting job we do. So I will just give you an overview of what we are doing at the moment. We work in Italy, but also abroad. So I will start from our projects abroad. We are currently working in Palestine with the Yunus Social Business Center at Bethlehem University, and that's a project on capacity building research, academic research on social business and social enterprises. Then we are working in Senegal in a project where actually we are partners of CISAO in Turin with Professor Egidio Dansero that was here. So good thing we are already collaborating before actually them being a Yunus center. We have a project in Azerbaijan funded by the United Nations. We are continuing our projects on the social business cities, so our collaboration with Barcelona, which has been going on since 2015. We are continuing our work in Pistoia since 2012 on the social business city, so where we actually teach social business to high school students and the citizens, and we have our own incubation program there. We recently actually certified Tayo 1 city as a social business city because they completed successfully the social business city program. We are active in Italy, abroad. We also have 2 Erasmus Plus projects, one with Barcelona and France and other countries that Andrea was mentioning before, and then another one with Glasgow Caledonian. In Italy, we are active on social impact evaluation and social reporting. So I know some colleagues here from Turin were discussing social impact evaluation. So we also do this, so it would be nice actually to exchange. After this and connected to this, we are taking part pro bono this time, which is kind of strange for us, to the experimentation of the social stock exchange, which is one of the activities of Torino Social Impact. So we are also collaborating in this. In Prato, we are developing for the City of Prato social impact bond to finance emergency housing for people. So we are also looking at sustainable and ethical finance, of course, not as with the experience that Bologna has, so this is very small experience for us. We also are now trying to develop a new social businesses, so we are discussing with some Yunus centers about this opportunity, so hopefully we will start another one. And in terms of collaboration, actually, we are pretty open now to Africa. We already have some projects in Africa, but it's good that now we have some new Yunus centers coming in. So this is something we are looking at in the next month. I think pretty much summed up everything that you are doing at the moment.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much, Enrico. Your center pioneered quite a few projects. As you mentioned, things are going great, and please keep up the great work. Thank you. Now we go to our final discussant, Dr. Leticia Lopez, representing Monterrey University, Mexico. So now we go all the way to Mexico.
Yes.
So let's
Thank
learn
you.
from you.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. We start at Yunus Center 4 years ago when Professor Yunus visited Monterrey University. I'm going to give you an example that what we work and what is the future that our vision. This example is Kimakul. Now the Yunus Center is in charge of Janice Valadez, and I work in another area that we work together, and I'm a social professor, social professor of business in a business school. Then I'm going to explain this in this example to show how we work. Kimakul in language, in indigenous language means with happiness in the heart. And then this program seeks to empower women at base of the economic pyramid through business development. We start at the University Monterrey from 2006. Next, please. And you can see how this program was in evolution through the time. And the important thing here is that, next please, is that our methodology where we show students not only how to create social business, we show students how to teach others to create social business. Then our students, through this program, help women in a pure context to create social business. Then in this process, our students learn a lot about that. And most of all the students that participate in this program, that are from the business school. And then they are accompanied for at least 1 year through a diploma in basic skills in entrepreneurship. And the mentors are the students. Each student have one woman that they are with them for 1 year, almost 1 year, until 1 year. And then we help them to improve their incomes and to formalize the business, the social business of them. And for example, this is an example that we have a relationship with a private sector of the Monterrey, Nuevo León, where is the city where is the Monterrey University is. And is our these benefactors that are the biggest companies in the city, and they give us volunteers and they give more money for this kind of programs. And for example, we work with government too, and this is an intersectorial work. And the center of these projects are the social formation of our students and social entrepreneurship formation of our students, and that I say before, and the social formation of women in poor context. Then is an example of what we can teach students these subjects in a practical way. And they stay for 1 year and unless maybe more years in this kind of programs. And that's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Leticia Lopez. Thank you for explaining what you do and what your future plans are. Thank you. So we learned about what the centers are doing now and their future plans. We are sure that all you are doing are data-driven. So in academia, we love data. We try to use jargons just to make sure that we sound like academics, evidence-based research. So I think this will be very important for the researchers, all the stuff that you're doing, and of course collaborating among the centers because circumstances are different. We are representing different geographic regions, talking about the centers where they're located. So circumstances are different, other contexts could be different, and sharing those could be very beneficial for the other centers, other places, and so on. So I'm sure you are collaborating, and you will be collaborating more so that will be beneficial for social business. I can easily see hundreds of case studies could be generated from your work. And each case study could be an academic research right there. Could be easily published in a peer-reviewed journal. So how can we bring in researchers to the center, helping them understand the cases and publish? That way people get to know about what you're doing from the academic eye, on the academic side. Since we are in an academic forum, that could be one way that I'm thinking right away. And as a reader, for example, if I read the cases, that would probably trigger me. What could be the next question I may ask? I may like to design a research, and that's a social business research right there. I can ask research questions. I can ask a hypothesis, and then I can test it, how things look like. So each and everything that we just mentioned could be actually a research. So now the only thing is how can we quickly organize that? That could be a good way. And last thing I would like to say, how we can involve more students. Perhaps when professors would know about the centers, your activity could be part of student assignment, co-ops, internship opportunities. So that way, students not only learning about it in the classroom, they can work with you. That would take them to the next level. So I think, I'm sure you're thinking about it, some stuff as I was learning from you, just a few things that came in my mind, so wanted to share it with you and the audience. So I think considering the time, this could be a good time to wrap up. I would like to thank all the speakers for helping us understand the wonderful things that you're currently doing and you plan to do. So let's give a big round of applause to these wonderful panelists. Thank you. We can wrap up.
Take a picture with our speakers and the moderator. I request the photographer to please come. Thank you very much. We now will take a photo with Professor Yunus, so I request everyone to please gather behind him. So if you can kindly get up from your seat and gather behind him. Professor Yunus has to leave because he has another session at Lavazza. So we're just going to take a photo before he leaves. So please kindly get up from your seats and gather behind Professor Yunus so we can get a beautiful picture. come to the seats in the front so we can all get a close-up nice picture. Would it be possible for the tech team to turn off the projector because it's reflecting the light from the camera? We still have our closing session left, so please take you back your seats. Oh, so Professor Yunus, before he leaves, he wants to say a few words. So kindly take your seats, a few words from Professor Yunus, and then we have our closing session with our respected academics from the University of Turin. If I request everyone to please take your seats. We still have the closing session, a few more minutes. Okay, if everyone has settled down, we can start our closing session. Kindly take your seats. And I think we can start. Today's has been really wonderful. We got to hear from a lot of wonderful academics about the work they're doing and the work they plan to do. Our colleagues have traveled from all over the world, from Mexico, we just heard, and then from Japan. Everywhere they've come, they're watching online. So thank you for your time. Thank you to the students who have been here and listening to our conversations on social business and 3.0 World. Thank you to our UniCenter colleagues who have put a lot of effort behind Social Business Academia Forum and the Global Social Business Summit. Many of them are here, many of them are working backstage. So a big round of applause for all of our colleagues, our friends, and our YSBCs working with us for so many years on social business and our events. So a big round of applause for everyone. Finally, I want to start our closing session by calling upon Professor Paolo Biancone, a full professor in business administration at the University of Turin. Professor Paolo.
Good evening to everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and to discuss with you some experience that we have in our university. You can move on. I want to, you can go on. All right. This morning, Secretary of the Chamber of Commerce, Bolatto, spoke about Torino Social Impact. The University of Turin is a partner of Torino Social Impact. I am the delegate of director in the committee for of the Chamber of Commerce for the Torino Social Impact. And I want to share our experience in one important thing that is a postgraduate program on social impact evaluation. We did 3 editions and we had more than 240 students for, coming from all different cities in Italy. This, I think, it's a good experience that we can carry on with the next edition next year. If you move on, we have also another experience that I want to share with you. This is a research experience about the European Journal of Social Impact and Circular Economy. This is an international journal based in the University of Turin. It's a double-blind, open access peer review journal. We had 3 years of experience. Now we are under accreditation in Scopus Index, and the board of editor, I'm the editor-in-chief, and the board of editor account more than 20 institutions, Italian, but also worldwide institution. We have the pleasure to show that most of our authors that are that came from different countries, most of them from Asia and Africa. So what I want to share with you is also the opportunity to start with a relation with the UNO Center of the University of Turin, and also with our journal and also with our colleagues. Thank you very much for the attention.
And now from the university side, I also call upon Professor Marcello on stage to say his final words. Professor Marcello.
Thank you. Good evening. Just a few words to thanks all the speakers, to thanks Mr. Professor Yunus, to thanks the organizer. Do we have, as a University of Turin, a great opportunity to start with a new challenge to create the Social Business Academy in our university. What I learned today is that to open this kind of center is not only a matter to introduce a new line of research or to introduce new syllables, new courses, new masters. What I learned today is that we have to take a greater responsibility. We have to contribute to change a mindset, to change the mindset of our students, but to change the mindset of ourselves. It's a great opportunity to change the way in which university is linked to the stakeholder, linked to the ecosystem in which it is embedded. It's a great opportunity, but to really get this opportunity means for us to change deeply our way to do things, our way to not only from the point of view of the research, but only, if you know, but mainly from the point of view of to link in a deeply way our research with implementation. What I learned today is that we have to link scholar and practitioner. We have to link research and implementation. We have to link to publication and to
in a certain way to create innovation, not only to modelize innovation, but to create innovation. This is what I take away today, and I hope to see you again next year, which some new accomplishment and new results of our activity of next year. Thank you very much to all. Thank you.
And the final words from the UniCenter Executive Director, Ms. Lamia Morshid.
Thanks, Zeenat. I just want to thank everyone for coming here today. It's, as always, we are very riveted when we get to hear from our university network partners, especially to hear from what the senior YSBCs are doing, but also to hear from the new ones that have joined in, and also to hear about the creative activities being done by the YSBCs, such as Urbino and what Paola's doing. Every presentation for us was very exciting, and UniCenter wants to continue to be able to enable these get-togethers. We are not academics, but one of the things that I heard, and this was what Sharmeen Morshid said, is that it would be great for the academics to speak to the practitioners, all the practitioners are here, to see if there are examples of social business on which they can be researched. This is this interface that we have at the summit of the practitioners and the academics, how to make best benefit, that you can have examples of very powerful social businesses, but which are not backed with research and data to make the model more available or the learnings more available to a wider audience. So for me, the fact that the summit always makes a space for the academics to get together is one of the really exciting things for us at the UniCenter. And we are planning for next year to actually have a full-fledged Social Business Academia Conference with papers. So I'd like to talk to you, Cam, after today at dinner, possibly, about that. And the last thing I would like to do is to thank actually everyone from the University of Turin, Mr. Stefano Giona, the rector, Mr. Eligio Dancero, the vice rector, Professor Jose Dañez, Professor Anna Cugno, Professor Paolo Bianconi, Professor Marcelo Boggetti, and Mr. Andy Silvestri, who sat through the entire thing. And this has been a fantastic place for us to have our first in-person academic interaction after the 3 years of the pandemic, and it's wonderful to see everyone in person. We've done things on Zoom, but there's definitely something special about getting together, and we are very looking forward to what we will do with the University of Turin and also the Torino Social Impact Program that you mentioned, which is also, I think, relevant for everyone in the network. Thanks once again to the GCL for enabling this, and I would like to say thanks to our team at the UniCenter who's been working day and night, Zeenat, Shihab, Aziz, Urmi, everyone behind the scenes. They've been working very hard to make this happen, and thank you very much. And thanks to all of you, the practitioners and the academics who are present today to make this special. Thank you very much, and see you again very soon.
Thank you very much. We end here. Delegates of GSBS, you can return to Lavazza for the closing session of GSBS for today. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night.